You are a maker of miracles. And there is something unpredictable, unbelievable, unimaginable that is coming to you. Can you feel it? Will you allow yourself to feel this? Because if you will, then something truly magical is about to unfold. And it will defy everything that we have been taught and conditioned to believe is needed in order to get everything that you want, be everything that you desire, and experience anything that you could possibly imagine to experience. Because this simply defies the systems that are linear, that are predictable, that are certain, that are kind of safe in the way that we can expect certain outcomes in certain ways in a certain time, all of which is completely against the nature of who we are and of life itself. And you see, when we mirror these qualities or align with these qualities of a system which is designed for conformity and linearity, then we dull our senses and we dampen our imagination and we disconnect from our inner senses of intuition, inspiration, intelligence, our basic instincts, which are constantly leading us down this spontaneous, non-linear, unpredictable path, which is the vitality and the vibrance of life itself. You see, you are a miracle. But when you outsource yourself to a method or a prescription or a kind of way that someone else has designed, then you succumb to the boredom. You give up your agency, your creativity, your spontaneity. You forego your own imagination, and therefore you sell out your soul and you disconnect from this present moment where everything that you could possibly want and more is always already available to you. You see, it is these prescriptions and techniques which are future focused and past oriented that are creating a present moment which is lacking and limited. It is utterly void of the true possibility of your true self. Because everything that you think is possible based on a certain kind of approach is not what's possible by the very fact that you think it is. But the truth of possibility is always beyond what you believe or think is possible. And that is life itself. That is this timeless, infinite present moment in its blank canvas of possibility that is available to you. It is beyond the familiar sense of self and identity that is the gateway to infinity. And you see, we've glorified all sorts of different characters. The hero and all of its triumph and fearlessness and courage, which is beautiful. Or the sage or the wise one who has all the knowledge and wisdom. But what about the fool? The fool is often overlooked and underappreciated because it's the fool who's willing to risk it all. His own or her own face, the impression, the likability, right? Everything is on the line for the fool. The fool is a kind of crazy one who's willing to risk it all, to be alive, right? The fool, perhaps more than anyone, knows this, knows what it is to be here now, alive on the edge, the bleeding edge of life, tapped into those inner senses of creativity, inspiration, intuition, right? Constantly pushing the boundaries, pressing the buttons, triggering, awakening, uplifting, inspiring, activating. You see, the fool is really a special kind of archetype and character. And this is why it's so interesting that we have these expressions like don't be a fool, or don't make a fool out of yourself, or don't be foolish, when actually it's always the crazy ones who change the world. You have to be a bit foolish in order to make any difference. You have to be willing to make a fool out of yourself. You have to be willing to risk being seen as a fool in order to do anything inspiring, anything novel, anything truly creative, because that's the truth of creativity. It is an act of foolishness. It is pulling on the thread of the unknown, not knowing where it's going to go, not knowing if it's going to work out, not knowing what it's going to mean about you or what people are going to think about you. That is that sweet spot of life, just outside of the comfort zone, just on the edge of all that's truly possible, pulling you into the infinite, timeless, present moment where everything exists, everything that you want to feel, everything that you want to be, everything that you want to experience and create, all emerges out of this timeless present moment when you're willing to be a fool. And it is the fool, perhaps more than anyone, that is the maker of miracles. Because even though we don't glorify the fool, we all love the fool. We all laugh at the fool. We all learn something from the fool, even if we're not willing to admit it, even if we're not willing to acknowledge it. That's why we love comedians, right? Comedians tell jokes that make us laugh, but they often tell truths disguised as a story. And this is why this archetype, this character, this foolishness is actually one of the most fundamental qualities of your true nature. Because in your heart, you're a fool. In your innermost self, there is a child of foolishness, of mischievousness, of creativity, of inspiration. And that true part of you is not concerned about the outcome, not concerned about the perception, not concerned about what people are going to think or whether you're going to fit in or how it's going to go. That part of you is only concerned about what's possible and who you become in the process, who you realize yourself to be and who you remember yourself as when you step out off the edge to discover all that you are. And that is where all the plans, all the predictions, all the preparations go out the window. Because any insistence and expectation is a limitation. It's a burden that holds us back from being who we truly are, authentically, honestly, truly, and cuts out and limits the possibilities that are actually destined to be, the miracles, the synchronicities that are meant to be, that we are distracted from when we are looking for something familiar, looking to be secure or safe in that familiar. But what happens? What becomes available? What becomes possible for you when you put it all on the line? You risk it all. You go all in. And you live as the fool that you truly are in your heart of hearts. What have you got to lose?